not going to get stupid.
You said we were walking out of here, now you're bringing up assault and everybody's going to get hurt again? Alright, so change up your agreement. I'm going to try to walk with you.
Alright.
Love folks, try to arm them. Keep your word. I can keep you safe. Alright? Don't worry about safety. I'm not a fucking murderer. Alright? Try to harm me. Try to harm you. Alright?
Do it. Get on the ground! Get on the ground now! Get on the ground! Get on the ground!
Don't make fun of me.
Put up! Move it! Move it up!
Get your hands up!
Still got the knives in his hand? Still got the knives in his hand.
Still got the knives in his hand. Step it up behind you. You moving?
His hands still armed.
Yep.
Get your hands out.
Get
Drop
your hands
the knife.
out. Lean back. Right behind you.
Put your hands out to your side and drop the knife. Hands out to your side.
Beanbag! Beanbag!
Drop the knife. Drop the knife. Drop the knife. Still got the knife in it? Negative 6. Still going hard on him? I can do him on him. Yeah, I don't want that knife in his head. Alright, he's good. Somebody step on that right hand real hard. He's got a knife in each hand. Knife in each hand. Knife in each hand. Rex, close. I got left. Good. I'm gonna switch you. All right. Good. You got lethal right there? Yes, I have lethal.
EPD's new chief says the police shooting that killed a homeless man in the foothills is justified. The video shows the suspect turning away as officers fire.
Officers Keith Sandy and Dominic Perez on the left fired their rifles 3 times, but he called the shooting justified.
The video is disturbing and graphic. The controversy is growing. This is the story we first brought you last night. The Albuquerque police shooting death of a mentally ill homeless man. James Boyd, the victim, was illegally camping and refused orders to surrender by police officers. Boyd died soon after. The Justice Department is investigating. The mayor calls the incident horrific. And today, protesters took to the streets there saying excessive force was used.
The protesters who were out here earlier this evening say that their anger is demonstrated in the video you just saw, the reason for their anger. They say that Boyd appeared to be turning away from officers when they fired those 6 rounds at him.
Now, there are still a lot of unanswered questions surrounding the shooting. Albuquerque police would not say if one or both officers' bullets hit the suspect or how many times he was hit. Keith Sandy, the officer who fired first, does have a storied past. We told you on special assignment earlier this week how Sandy was fired from state police for time card fraud. He was facing possible criminal charges for doing private security work while on the clock. In 2007, he was hired on by APD anyway. Back then, the department told us he would not carry a gun or have a badge. But as you can see, that obviously did not stick.
I'm shocked. I've never seen a murder captured on videotape before. I've never seen anything quite like this.
Peter Simonson of the ACLU says the current federal investigation of APD needs to include this case.
Was there another way to approach this whole situation that didn't have to result in someone dying? We need a trustworthy investigation of incidents like this.
Got a knife. What the fuck? Holy shit. That's unnecessary.
Hands up! Hands up, Ernie! Don't you move! Ernie, don't you move! I will shoot you! Hands up! Now! Drop the knife down! Shots fired! Shots fired! On the ground now! On the ground! Get back now! Shots fired. Suspect armed with a knife. Stay in control. Get back now! Get back now! Get back now! Get back now! Hands up! Hands up! Get back! Get back! Here, Monroe, Mexico, to the top of the stage. Powers and north or north. Get back now! Get back now! Get away from here! Watch him, watch him, watch him all. I got it. We're gonna clear the vehicle. Get back now! Get back! Get back! Get back now! Get my vehicle. Now! Come on.
An officer's final warning before a deadly confrontation.
A suspect killed on camera.
I will always remember his cries as he was dying.
Family now fighting back as the DA rules this is a justified shooting.
Good evening, I'm Tony Lopez.
And I'm Shannon Brady. As we have live team coverage of this dash cam video, Steve Large with how a former sheriff is defending the officer's actions.
But we start with Maria Medina. She's live in Manteca with why the suspect's family calls this cold-blooded murder.
And this would start off as a domestic disturbance call. Officers say they were warned the suspect would have a knife. What would happen next was caught on camera. And a warning to our viewers, what you're about to see and hear is disturbing.
Hands up! Now! Drop the knife down! Shots fired! Shots fired!
It is the last moments of a man's life caught on Manteca Police dash cam. But for Whitney Dueñez, it was her reality.
Get back now!
I'm heartbroken.
Was it justified?
To me, no.
The attorney who represents the Dueñez family posted the video on YouTube after the San Joaquin District Attorney ruled the shooting justified.
By releasing this video and putting it out there to the public, they see what we have seen, not what the DA has written.
The video shows the officer warning Ernest Dueñez Jr. he would shoot. An investigation found Dueñez had a knife in his hand.
In the video, I do not see a weapon.
Dueñez's mother says the video proves he wasn't carrying a knife. It does show Ernest turning toward the truck. Investigators say he reached forward. That's when the officer started firing. Whitney would find her husband shot 11 times. He was still alive when she kept yelling for officers to call an ambulance, a moment that she can't stop from replaying in her mind.
That will always be in me. I will always remember his cries as he was dying.
And officers say they would find that 4-inch knife in the back of the pickup. Whitney has since moved from their home. She says their son turned 1 just 2 weeks after his death.
Maria, thanks for that.
Oh. Hey! 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 Put the knife down! Put the knife down! Put the knife down! David 33, shots fired, born in LL. Subject wouldn't drop the knife.
Okay, bud? Yeah, there's under control and fire throughout. Anybody else? I'm 5-4 driver. Have unit 4 down, please.
Hey!
Under control, volume higher, unit 4 down. Hello, at the door, hello.
Good. Good. You, hold on, guys. Sit over here. Get the single file. Walk together, all right? He's the designated shooter. He's already shot him. All right, we get a PB. Get behind me. Let's move up. Ready? We're gonna move up, all right, Dave?
David 0, we've got traffic shut off on 4 and at Stewart. 4 and Stewart, traffic shut down.
Heartbroken and furious, family members demanding answers after their relative is shot and killed by police. Long Beach police say they were forced to open fire on the man, all because of what he was holding in his hands.
My brother was a person. He was my parents' son. He was a father. He was our brother. You know, this is a real human being.
A sister is heartbroken tonight over the death of her brother, 35-year-old Doug Zerbe. Long Beach police shot and killed Zerbe Sunday evening. Authorities say they thought the water nozzle he was holding was a gun. And so when he pointed it in their direction, they unleashed a hail of bullets.
I believe 2 rounds from a shotgun, and I believe, and 2, and
police acknowledged they never asked Zerbe to drop what they thought was a gun or spoke to him in any way.
He at least deserved to be told, put your hands where we can see them. Place the object down. You know, 2 seconds of conversing.
Tonight, 9 News Now has uncovered new information on a deadly police shooting in Culpeper. An eyewitness now contradicting the police version of yesterday's confrontation in a Catholic school parking lot that ended with the death of 54-year-old Patricia Cook.
An eyewitness here in Culpeper is contradicting what state police are saying about the investigation and why the Culpeper police officer fired at a Sunday school teacher.
He had his hand on the door handle, one hand here and one hand, I remember distinctly because his hands were real close together.
Chris Bouchel says he saw a Culpeper town police officer shoot 54-year-old Patricia Cook to death in this church parking lot yesterday morning. Cook was in her Jeep Wrangler. State police say Cook rolled up the window, catching the officer's arm inside, and then dragged him. Bouchel says it didn't happen that way.
He was right next to the vehicle. He had one hand on the door handle and one hand on his weapon. And she was rolling the window up, and they were exiting out of the parking lot. The window was halfway up. He said, "Stop or I'll shoot." And I really didn't think he was going to do it. But she got the window all the way up, and that's when he shot. And then she took a left out of the parking lot here, and he stepped out in the street and fired 5 more times.
Bouchel says the officer was not dragged. He says he couldn't have had his arm caught because he fired through the glass. Cook's husband doesn't understand why an officer would shoot his unarmed wife multiple times.
Tonight, a man shot and killed by a Lake County deputy in a moment of chaos. New tonight, we've learned that deputies did not identify themselves before shooting and killing a man inside his own home.
Chase, what did the Lake County Sheriff's Office have to say about this tonight?
Well, Tracy, first off, they're saying that if this man did not open the door with a gun in his hands, that they never would have pulled the trigger. Still, the Sheriff's Office now says that they did not announce who they were when they were knocking on that man's door because they say they were looking for a very dangerous man and they did not want to scare him off. Now, this community wants to know why deputies did not identify themselves before knocking.
Well, 30-year-old Dustin Theo Harris lies in a hospital bed recovering from his 12th operation. King County is grappling with why no one was held accountable for putting him there.
He was lying in bed. He wasn't reaching for a weapon. Two people barged into his room, and 10 seconds later were unloading 16 bullets into his body.
The shooters were Department of Corrections officer Chris Rongan and King County Deputy Aaron Thompson. Deputy Thompson refused to be interviewed right away, instead giving a written statement a month later.
And we just got a statement from the Department of Corrections saying, in response to that $20 million claim, they feel their officer used appropriate force in a dangerous situation.
Anger and impatience growing tonight in Saginaw.